question I often get from prospective clients is, what is the difference between an image consultant or image consulting, styling, and personal shopping? Uh, I generally think of them in three distinct pathways: image consulting, personal shopping, and personal styling. And I think of them in that order, actually, which is how we've organized our services. So an image consultant is someone who helps you plan holistically how you want to look in front of any given audience. You can reduce your life into, verticals where you have work, formal, work casual, social, religious, dating, and in each of these areas you might want to dress or present yourself differently. Image consulting takes into account the differences in time, place, occasion, audience, goals for each of those given verticals in your life. Thinks about them methodically to make sure that each thing that you're planning to purchase fits into those verticals. And then in the nitty-gritty of that intake process for image consulting, we're looking at your closet and a closet audit, very systematically lay out what it is that you need to purchase, usually in some sort of worksheet document, so that we understand on the same page about, I'm looking to accomplish X, and this is the path to get there. Image consulting, we sit down, we scope out the verticals, and each vertical, which is based on time, place, and occasion. I want to understand who you're talking to, what the goal for that audience is, and also who gets a vote in the process. If you are getting dressed for date night, very likely your significant other probably has a vote in that process. If you're getting dressed for work, you might have a professional standards handbook. Understanding who gets a vote in that process. I assume you do, I do if you hire us, and then which other third parties get a vote in that process is important. At this stage, very often there isn't a lot of shared vocabulary with the client. If they knew how to get what they wanted, they very often wouldn't use us. Time can still be a function, but a lot of times people still just don't know where to go to get the pieces that they want. And if they did, they wouldn't necessarily have the confidence to buy them. The consulting process is a lot about listening to the client and trying to understand their needs. Because a lot of times people, if they don't have the vocabulary to explain what they want, they also don't have the vocabulary to explain why they feel inadequate or in need of something to help them understand the words in the pathway forward. Once you finish the image consulting, you move on to the personal shopping piece. And the shopping piece is literally the systematic acquisition of what the client says that they want, or what you might think they want based on that initial conversation, which is entirely in and of itself an entire career field, because it takes a lot of skill to know where and how to buy things, especially as they get more exotic. Shopping can be a difficult part of the process because a lot of things aren't available just because you want to buy them. That might surprise people who are used to going to a mall and walking into a store and picking up something off the rack and then, paying for it. At the top end, where things are all luxurious, everyone has money, and money isn't the thing that gets you what you want. It's usually time or connections, because there are not a lot of things that are very nice. So the shopping process can be tedious. Geography means that the thing that you want isn't nearby and it takes a trip because stores aren't near you, or they don't ship, or you have to make an in-store purchase. Or purchases are relationally driven. Sometimes you need a reservation to buy things, and I think the average person's touch point with this would be with restaurants. You might want to go to a nice restaurant, but you need reservations, of course, and reservations might be fully committed for months into the future. The same is true, or can be true, of merchandise, where you might want to buy a nice watch, but that watch might have a waiting list of months or even years. To be granted access to buy that piece, you might have to buy another piece, or they may simply say, we're not currently taking reservations for that piece at this time, even though you've registered your interest, which is the term that they use. You're simply not basically allowed to purchase that thing. Personal shopping can be tedious because of that, because you have to manage relationships and get your clients on the right list with the right person at the right time, and do your best to work them up the list, sometimes even anonymously, which adds an extra layer of challenge to the job, certainly. So personal shopping is figuring out how to get the thing the client wants, no matter where it is, as soon as possible, and deliver it to the client to make that client happy, while maintaining the relationship with the vendor, because all the clients that follow that first client might also want something similar, and you can't burn a bridge to get something for that first client that leaves all your other clients, stranded. That's the personal shopping piece, where it is the shopper's job to make sure that the things they purchased are shown to the client in an intelligible manner so that the presentation is efficient, they have good reference points, they establish shared vocabulary that help the client make an informed choice very quickly about what they want to buy and what they would rather pass on. Personal styling piece is closely linked with the personal shopping piece. Styling is usually more about how to use the things that you've purchased together to accomplish a certain goal. Usually comes last in the process, but should always be front of mind in the personal shopping component. Sometimes the words become interchangeable, personal shopper and personal stylist, because a personal stylist often can help you go shopping with styling in mind. So styling should always be on the forefront when shopping, understanding how the thing you're going to buy for the client integrates into their life already. And if they're doing a whole new makeover, how it integrates into the verticals back from the image consulting piece. But styling does sequentially usually follow the shopping phase. And that's once you've acquired the pieces. And I get this text a lot. Hey, I remember that we bought these shoes together. They're beautiful shoes. I forgot how you said to wear them or to pair them. And I'm always happy, of course, to respond to that text. But generally, the styling piece is taking what you've shopped for and mixing and matching it to create an outfit that adheres to the goals we set out back in the image consulting piece. We found that it's more efficient to partner with digital platforms that allow us to virtually inventory clients' possessions, usually their wardrobe, and then organize all the things that they currently own into outfits, and then organize those outfits into use cases or verticals. There's no question about what they're trying to wear if it meets the need, the occasion, the formality, the temperature, or whatever. Styling, though, can also be with things that a client already owns. You don't have to have a personal shopper to have a personal stylist. Styling is literally just the mixing and matching, aesthetic ideation and creation of the visual of the person. I hope that answers your question on the difference between image consulting, personal shopping, and personal styling. You can often interchange these words, but if you really want to get into the weeds, that's the difference. Although I doubt you'll find that difference well delineated really kind of anywhere else.